Good morning, everyone. Peace and blessings. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, as I just said, and the moon is in Cancer at the early degrees. It moved into Cancer last night at midnight, and the sun is still in Scorpio in the final degrees, and Pluto goes into Aquarius tomorrow. Greetings, everyone. I am curious if you guys can feel the shift. Can you feel it happening? I can feel this new energy rising, and it feels like I feel strong in my system. I'm so aware, like when in 2008, when Pluto went into Capricorn for good, my son had just been born. I had a 1-year-old, and I was a new mother. I was 38 or 39 years old. My child was diagnosed with Down syndrome during the, while I was pregnant. And it was a time that shook me to my core. Like literally my whole sense of self was, I just remember being so terrified. I remember when the doctors called me and said, when you're 38 or so, they say, get these tests to see if you're okay, because they say 30 something is old to be having a baby, which it isn't, because that's just what our culture has done and convinced us that we don't have the ability to do what we're meant to do. And so I was bought in, and I was so afraid when they told me that my son had a diagnosis. And I remember crying. I got the information at work, and the woman that I was working with, her name was Alice Band-Aid, rest in peace, she's an ancestor now. When I got that information, I went into her office and collapsed and cried like the world was ending. In an office, in a workspace. And this woman just held me and soothed me and gave me the permission and the space to release, because I was deeply, deeply traumatized. She said, I appreciate you saying that, because I'm 32. And yeah, girl, you can totally have children. Just take care of your body, take care of your mind, your body, and know the truth. Knowing the truth information has changed my life. So that's when Pluto was going into Capricorn, and Pluto in a Capricorn personally has been about our personal authority. And that experience forced me into a awareness that I was not in my personal authority, that I was giving my authority away to others. And it was so interesting, because I was aware that I became aware, I'm so scared. I'm so scared of this baby having a diagnosis that I'll let these doctors tell me anything. That's what I was aware of. I was like, I'm so terrified that the doctors can have their way with me. The sun is shining so bright all of a sudden. The doctors can have their way with me. And I had to get it together. I just had a baby at 44. Take care of your body. That's right. And truly believe it's possible. That's absolutely right. And so I was... and then I was also aware that, so Pluto is like shadow stuff. So I'm going to go weird on you guys. It's not weird. I was also aware that my mother had died at some point. My mother had died, and I had someone give me a reading that told me my mother was coming back. I knew my mother was coming back. Even though I knew my mother was coming back, and that she was going to come back as my child. And so when my mother, when she was dying, my mother wasn't dying. My mother died of a heart attack, but in her later years before she left the body, she was only 46, 47 years old, but she had lived so hard that she was old, because she had lived so hard, drinking and prostituting and all that sort of stuff. So she had started trying to rely on me, like coming to me, are you going to take care of me in my old age? Are you going to? And I would be so furious about it, because she hadn't taken care of me. but I hadn't developed myself yet. I had no idea who I was being. I had no, she hadn't raised me, so I was still trying to raise myself. And here she come talking about, you're gonna take care of me when I get older. I'm like, I don't know if I'm coming or going. What are you talking about, right? Like, and so when she died, I was aware that that was like a karmic thing, that she was finishing something between us and that she was coming back. And when my son, when they said he was diagnosed with Down syndrome, I was like, okay, here she come. Here she come. And she's coming in a way that will force me to take care of her. And when he was born, I knew it. Like, he looked just like her. I really almost don't even want him to see this video, because he probably will. But if he does, it's okay. He looked just like her. He had a lot of mannerisms like her. And the energy between us, I was afraid of him. I was so afraid. And I was afraid because he had this force. He had this force in him that was like, ah. And I was like, ah. That's all I can really say. He had this power that was like, I'm coming for you. And I was like, ah. And it forced me into healing, is what it did. It forced me to heal. It forced me to start doing my internal work, because his energy brought up so much fear for me that I had to heal. And this is when Pluto going into Capricorn. So I had to heal and access my own authority. I had to discover who I am, how I function, what I need, how to be able to really support my child, support myself, how to maintain a relationship that was going through divorce. Like, BT is on the thing now. Because BT, this is right when Zion was born, and when Pluto went into Capricorn, and we all sort of went into this deep place. Like, Pluto and Capricorn is kind of like hell, you guys. Like, and you see what the world has been like. Yes, his sun is in Aquarius. That's right. His sun is in Aquarius. That's right. And I have Aquarius in the 11th house, because I use Placidus. So yes, his energy forced me to start a community. He forced me to ask for help, get assistance, like learn more. I just had to, and then I started my own business. Like, all of that has been Pluto and Capricorn coming into authority. How have you had to come into your own authority? How have you had to awaken to who you really are? How have you had to grow? How have you been forced out of your comfort zones? Things like that, right? And so it would show up like if you had an illness, and you had an illness, and then you had to learn how to heal your own body, or you went through hard relationship stuff and you had to learn how to communicate in a different way, or you had to go back to school to learn about money, like having to really become something different. What has that been for you? And so now Pluto goes into Aquarius tomorrow, and this Pluto in Aquarius is giving us the opportunity to now embody all of the work that we've done in the last 17 years to be ourselves. Because Aquarius says you have to be your unique self. I think so many people, I don't want to say it that way. We have been conditioned to think alike, to believe alike, to think that there's a certain way. This way is the right way. That's the wrong way. This is good. This is bad. Now, all those things are work for a system like the one that we have been involved in, which is the patriarchy or capitalism or white supremacy. There has had to be things that are valuable and things that are not. And because of that, many of us have suppressed our own internal gifts because it's so different. And I was talking the other day, this is why I was saying how much I really appreciate gay people, because you can't, you can't really suppress your sexuality. I mean, even though they do it, they suffer when they do it. But people can suppress their magic. You can suppress your intuition. You can suppress your uniqueness. You can get away with it. You can hide away from it. And you can Aren't they gorgeous? I love gay people. I love gay people. And and because they have to be themselves. And we're coming to a time now when we all have to be ourselves. They have been the example of what it looks like to be yourself when everyone is against you. Black people too, you know what I mean? Like, as a black person, we understand it, but the race thing here is so toxic. People don't necessarily want to relate to black people. People don't want to relate to gay people. Nobody wants to relate to the people who are the outsiders. Nobody wants to be the outsider. But now it's time for us to understand that we're all the outsider. We're all the outsider, and the gift is to take pride in that, to honor that, to cultivate that, to expand that, because that is where the prosperity, the joy, the happiness, it comes from this Aquarius energy, which is this supremely unique expression of yourself. And you need it. Even more, the alphabet folks are hella courageous. Let me tell you, like, when you a grown-ass woman thinking, should I say, are they them or they? Huh? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm inside of myself trying to figure it out. I'm at the spa right now. I come to the spa in my neighborhood. There have been a couple times I've come here and there are men who have transitioned into women. And it is such a fascinating thing. It's been interesting to be in, because the spa is naked. It's a naked space. And I the first time I was like, and maybe it was somebody who was probably 20 something, maybe like 27 or 28, young. So their bodies are very, at that age, your body is still very gorgeous, shall I say? You know what I mean? Like at that, you're strong. You know what I mean? You're young, right? And so if you think of I think that in that experience they had their sex part removed, but maybe they didn't have breast yet or something like that, but they were identifying as a woman. It was interesting because I remember thinking, oh, I feel like I'm in a nude space with a man. I had that thought because their body felt like a man's body. And then I had to just make the adjustment inside of my head. Like it's just a body. And, when we do all this gender stuff, it's really about protection and sex and all that. But I had to just let it go. And it's happened a couple of times, but it's happened twice. And it's not easy to make the shift, but I made it. You know what I mean? I made it. And if I didn't feel good, I could decide not to come. I could decide to go somewhere else and take my business somewhere else, or not to come at all. But I'm open. You know what I mean? I'm open to us transcending our old identities and ways of being into a more expanded identity that is not limited to just two genders and two races and things like that. And I'm not saying that all of this stuff is about politics. I'm not talking about a political thing. I'm talking about people's ability to have sovereignty and to name themselves what they choose, what they decide, and for us to honor that. You know what I mean? And I know that's, like, right now that's a very chaotic thing because there's so much confusion, but it's a process. It is a process. And the creative process is messy. It is messy because the discovery process is challenging and it requires a lot. And so, but we cannot continue to box ourselves in. We cannot, because what happens in these boxes, not only do we not develop, it's not about gender. It's about the full scope of your psyche. The full scope of your psyche needs to be developed. And when we say things like girls are this and boys are that, that locks people into ways of being, that they start to feel like, oh, I'm ashamed that, I'm a girl, but I'm very physically strong and I'm ashamed, or I'm a girl and I'm very tall and I don't want to be seen, because these traits are associated with men, and so then that doesn't feel right. And the same, like, men might have traits that are associated with women. So we want to open up the spectrum. It's not about the politics, it's about the energy, so the energy can flow. If the energy is trapped in these confined notions of what it means to be a human being, it cannot be fully expressed as your gifts, your power, your magic, because your shame will push it down when it's meant to express as one thing. You know what I mean? So it's a very expansive conversation and way of being, and it is it's an opportunity for us to grow. So today the moon is in Cancer. And we have been in a moon cycle that's going to start. We've been in the Scorpio new moon, Taurus full moon cycle, which is about power and your ability to resource yourself, resource your power, resource your gifts, and now the moon is in Cancer. And so when the moon comes into Cancer, it's like to feel at home in these new energies, right? So this is why I teach people to do the practices, to do rituals and follow the moon, because it's literally like you have to align yourself to it. You have to make yourself comfortable in it. You know, it's the best way that I can really think of it is like athletes, right? Like, so somebody who's a basketball player, they practice over and over and over and over and over again to build the muscle of who they are, of being a great player. You have to build the muscle. The same is true for your gifts. You have to build the muscle of your intuition, build the muscle of your psychic abilities, build the muscle of your ability to focus and astral plane. You have to practice these things. And my experience was that if I had trauma blocking it, if I was in trauma about relationships or my body or money or race or if I was in any kind of trauma, those things interfere, those lower frequencies interfere with your ability to rise into the experience of who you're becoming, the gifts that are being materializing within you. And so as the moon is in Cancer, we have this opportunity to begin to access a sense of safety inside of ourselves. And, you know, so like for me right now, my intuition is getting so incredibly strong. I'm so excited about it. But I've been spending time in nature. I've been doing a lot of meditation and journaling, and I've been doing this stuff for years. But what I've been doing is really healing the shadow parts, because the sun is in Scorpio. And the shadow for me has been fear, just a lot of fearfulness, and really understanding that it's not my fear. This is ancestral fear. This is collective fear. This is communal fear. But because I'm a Pisces rising, I tend to transmute other people's energies. And I've always done that. And now I know that that's a gift of mine. And so I'm going to learn how to, I've taught myself how to protect my energy, how to support myself, and how to be around people who I can hold frequency with, who I don't have to where I'm not energetically taking on all their work, because that's just how because I'm a Pisces rising. You know what I mean? It's not just teaching myself a new way of being. So with this Cancer moon, Miss Marie, yes, fellow Pisces, right, we are energetic sponges. I'm telling you, if somebody comes to my house and stays for 3 days, by the end of them leaving, if they smoke, I smoke. If they drink coffee, I drink coffee. If they like hamburgers, I like hamburgers. You're gonna go to the moon? I'm going with you. You know what I mean? Like, it literally, I literally imprint onto people, and I have had to really learn that. But so one of the ways that I'm teaching myself how to trust my intuition and my connection is with my cats. Cats are supernatural beings, and I've been practicing communicating to them telepathically. And it works every time, using my imagination to talk to them, and, calling them from inside of myself to come into the house. And they come every single time, like really tapping into the frequency. The other day, I had a thought. I was on TikTok. I love TikTok, you guys. I love TikTok. And I was on TikTok, and I kept seeing these videos about something they call like an African sponge or something like that. And I had the thought, I got to get me one of those because I really want to wash my back better. That was just a deep internal thought. I really want to wash my back better. Like, I feel like my back needs to be washed better. And 2 days later, I have a meditation with a group of friends at the park, and one of them brings me a gift, a bag full of little goodies, and in the bag was an African towel. I was like, you cannot make this stuff up. You don't have to put the cats on leashes. And nope, I don't have, nope. They can go, and I can just sit in my meditation, my mind, and call them, and they come back. I don't have to do anything like that anymore. I can talk to them as clear as I'm talking to you. I can talk to the cats. And why I can do that is because I've relaxed my nervous system. I've literally gotten into my body and relaxed the kinetic, frenetic energy that was in me, pushing, shoving, scared, right? Like, the cats have helped me heal the fear. And now I just feel more relaxed. So the external world can look one way. They can be all sorts of things going on. And I am like, that's not mine. That is mine. Or how do I deal with that? Like, I just am not reactive anymore. And ooh, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And the reaction was a mental thing. Like, my mind would go into gymnastics around whatever was happening and trying to figure out, and all that. And now none of that. So use this Cancer energy today, though, to think about the shadows of your family, like the family you grew up in. And what were the shadows? Did people have diseases? Did people drink? Did people, like, what were the things that were unspoken? And sometimes if we've been in families a long time enough, we just become a part of it and we don't even know because we're in it. In my family, the unspoken thing was like powerlessness. A lot of powerlessness, because we're all very psychic, witchy people. And when we went into Christianity absorbed all that power. And so none of us really had any power, and everybody was angry and heartbroken because of it. But they didn't have understanding of it either, because it was all coming through the lens of Jesus, right? So, like, just suffering because no one was empowered. And so that was a shadow in my family. And that's the work that I'm doing in my life to heal, to claim my power back, to how to use my energy, how I'm meant to function here. We've all been taught that there's only one way to function here, through the lens of the American system. But America is just a big amusement park, y'all. That's all it is. It's not real. It's just an amusement park. Like, if you go to Disneyland, you go to America, it's the same, right? And the question is, can you cast your own reality? Like, they cast America, they cast Disneyland, they can't, like, so Pluto going into Aquarius says, be your own self, and you have to know who you are. That's why I study my chart, because my chart tells me how I function. So now when somebody comes to my house and I'm, feeling all their stuff, I know what it is. In the past, I used to just succumb to it, but now I know what it is, and I can behave accordingly. I can do the things I need to do. Whatever. There was a time, I have a South Node in Libra, and I thought relationship was the end all be all for my life, but I have a North Node in Aries. Once I stopped prioritizing romantic relationships or any relationships and started prioritizing myself, all the energy changed, and now I feel good because I'm thinking about myself. My mind is not on what people think and how they, their approval and what are they going to do. I don't have that going on anymore, because I know from my natal chart, I'm supposed to be focused on me. So me thinking about what other people think or what other people are going to do or what other people are going to be is going against myself. But what if you're still discovering who you are? We're always still discovering who we are. We're all, of course we are. That's a continual process. I'm, a very grown woman, and I'm still discovering who I am. Y'all, there are 3 hawks and a crow up above me. Let me see if I can. Oh, y'all can't see it. It's not. Let's see. No. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can't. All right, y'all can't see it. 3 hawks and a crow are flying right above me. Goodness gracious. I love my connection to nature. It's amazing. It's amazing. Did you see them? Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yay, yeah. So learn your natal chart. Study your chart, you all. Study your chart so you can understand how you're meant to function. Like now I know that I have to feel things in my body in order for it to be a yes. If it's not in my body, I can't say yes. Yay. So learn your chart. If you feel called, come book a reading, or not, go book a reading with other people. Like just take responsibility and learn who you are and how you're meant to function. Learn how you're meant to function. Update your software. Update your consciousness about yourself, and that will be primary to your happiness, your health, everything. Because another thing is I've discovered is that as I've done all this work, it's impacted my body and my health. Like, I had all these digestive challenges going on, gone, because I've healed that stuff. I had sexual shame. It's even hard to say. I had sexual shame that I had happening in my system, gone, because I've healed it, right? I had to look at it though, and it was showing up in my life in nefarious ways that I had to finally take responsibility for. So just dive in. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. If you have any questions, I am here. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.